The disguise had never failed me before. Not on Virex 9, where I posed as a mining delegate to sabotage a planetary weapons contract. Not on Ashel Prime, where I impersonated a religious archivist long enough to steal an entire archive of pre-expansion star maps. And certainly not on Caldrith Station, where 3 different biometric scanners declared me biologically native. My name, my real name, was irrelevant. In the underground circles of the Orion Reach, I was known simply as Cypher. And tonight, I was walking into the most dangerous room in the known galaxy. The throne chamber of Queen Veloria of the Nytherian Empire. The Nytherians were not human. They were taller, their skin like polished obsidian veined with faint lines of violet bioluminescence. Their eyes shimmered silver, reflecting light like liquid mercury. Their physiology operated on dual circulatory systems and an electrochemical network humans barely understood, which made impersonating one nearly impossible. Nearly. My suit, woven from adaptive morphic fiber, shifted at the molecular level. Beneath it, a lattice of biosynthetic implants altered my bone structure, redistributed muscle mass, and emitted Nytherian pheromones harvested years ago from a diplomatic envoy. Pain was part of the process. Breathing felt wrong. My spine ached under its altered curvature. But when I looked into the mirror, I saw not a human operative. I saw Lord Theron Vallis, minor noble of the outer spiral. Perfect. The chamber doors opened with a low harmonic resonance. I stepped inside. The throne chamber of Nytheria was not built for intimidation. It didn't need to be. The architecture curved upward like a cathedral carved from living stone. Light pulsed through veins in the walls. At the far end, elevated on a platform of crystalline glass, sat Queen Veloria. She did not fidget. She did not shift. She simply observed. The moment her silver eyes fell on me, something inside my chest tightened.
Stay calm.
Nytherians valued composure. Eye contact was a sign of respect, not challenge. I bowed with precise, rehearsed grace. Your radiance, I said, voice modulated to the deep harmonic tone of her species. Lord Theron Vallis, summoned at your command. The chamber was silent. No advisors. No guards. No translators. Just her. That wasn't protocol. Something was wrong. The queen rose. Not quickly, but deliberately. She descended the steps from her throne. Each movement was fluid, controlled, predatory. She stopped 3 paces from me, close enough that I could see faint constellations shimmering within her eyes. Close enough that if she called guards, I'd never make it back to the hangar. Her head tilted slightly. And then, she smiled. Not cruelly. Not warmly. Just knowingly. The human beneath the morphic lattice, she said softly, must be very brave. My heart stopped. 1 heartbeat.
2.
The suit registered stable pheromone output. Bone alignment perfect. Vocal modulation flawless. Impossible. I do not understand your radiance, I replied smoothly. Her silver gaze sharpened. You understand perfectly. And in that instant, I realized something far more terrifying than exposure. She wasn't angry. She was curious. Middle. The game beneath the throne. No guards stormed the chamber. No alarm sounded. Instead, Queen Veloria circled me slowly, studying my posture, my breathing, the rhythm of my pulse. You passed our scanners, she said. You carry Nytherian pheromones. Your skeletal structure has been modified at great personal cost. Her eyes met mine again. But your heart. She placed a hand over her own chest. Beats like a star about to explode. I couldn't stop it. The suit masked biology. It did not mask fear.
How?
I asked before I could stop myself. A dangerous mistake. A real noble would not have asked that. Her smile widened slightly. Nitherians evolved as predators on a world of silent storms. We learned to sense the electrical impulses of prey long before we learned speech. She stepped closer. I can hear your nervous system screaming. I had contingency plans for failure. Explosives embedded in a molar. Nanite poison in my bloodstream. A silent distress pulse to orbit. But none of those plans involved conversation. Why am I still alive? I asked carefully. Because, she said, you are the first human in 15 years bold enough to infiltrate my court personally. 15 years. So they knew. They knew about the intelligence leaks. The sabotaged negotiations. The collapsed trade alliances. You've been watching us, I realized. We have, she confirmed. And we have allowed it. That unsettled me more than immediate execution would have. Why? Her gaze drifted toward the vaulted ceiling. Because war with humanity would cost billions of lives. On both sides. Her attention returned to me, sharp and unwavering. And because I wished to meet the mind capable of penetrating my empire's defenses. This wasn't an arrest. This was an interview. You orchestrated this summons, I said slowly. Yes. The word was simple. Devastating. You fed our networks just enough intelligence to tempt us, I said. You wanted us to send someone. I wanted you, she corrected. The room seemed to tilt. You identified me? I asked. She inclined her head slightly. You have a pattern cipher. You target unstable political nodes. You never kill unnecessarily. You prioritize leverage over destruction. My blood ran cold. She knew my code name. You studied me. I respected you. No mockery. No sarcasm. Just fact. You are humanity's sharpest blade, she continued. But blades cut both ways. She began walking back toward her throne. I did not summon you to execute you. She turned, eyes luminous. I summoned you to make you an offer. This was the moment. The pivot point. What kind of offer? I asked. A future, she said. For whom? For both our species. Silence expanded between us. You believe war is inevitable, she continued. Your leadership sees us as expansionist tyrants. And you see us as reckless primates with nuclear toys, I replied. A flicker of amusement crossed her face. Accurate, but incomplete. She descended the steps again. Our empires are on a collision course. Trade disputes are escalating. Border skirmishes multiply. Within 5 cycles, open war becomes statistically probable. I knew that. I'd read the projections. But there is a third path, she said. I folded my hands behind my back to hide their tension. Which is? Her voice softened. Trust. I almost laughed. You expect humanity to trust the empire that annexed 3 systems last decade? She met my challenge evenly. Those systems requested protection after pirate confederacies slaughtered their populations. Your Senate refused intervention. That was classified. You're very well informed, I said. As are you. The air felt charged. You want a back channel, I said slowly. Direct communication. Outside official governments. Yes. And you think I could deliver that? I know you can. Why would I? Her eyes searched mine, not for weakness, but for conviction. Because you don't sabotage for glory, she said. You sabotage to prevent escalation. She stepped close enough that the faint warmth of her bioluminescent veins illuminated the suit's surface. You fear what your own government might become. That struck deeper than I expected. Humanity was fracturing. Political extremism was rising. Military budgets swelling. She saw it. You want stability, she continued. So do I. A dangerous alignment. If I refuse? I asked. Then you leave here alive, she said. And the game continues. No threats. No coercion. Just choice. And that made it harder. You're asking me to betray my command structure, I said. I'm asking you to prevent a war that will make betrayal irrelevant. The chamber seemed impossibly vast. You're gambling everything, I said. So are you. She extended her hand, not as a ruler, as an equal. One heartbeat, she said quietly. That was all it took for me to see you. Her silver gaze softened, not with weakness, but with recognition. You are not my enemy, Cypher. The suit hummed softly as internal systems recalibrated. This was the moment my entire career had prepared me for. Not infiltration, not sabotage, but decision. I removed the morphic collar. The illusion flickered, bone structure shifting back, skin tone returning, violet veins fading. For the first time in that chamber, I stood before her as human. No disguise, no shield. Gasps echoed faintly from hidden alcoves.
So there were guards.
Of course there were. You are either the bravest man I have met, she said softly, or the most reckless. Probably both, I replied. Her hand was still extended. I took it. Her skin was warm, electric, not metaphorically, literally. A subtle current passed between us. A Nytherian bonding response. Unexpected. Her eyes widened slightly. You feel it too, she whispered.
I did.
Not attraction. Not romance. Something older. Recognition. Two apex species staring into the abyss, and choosing not to push. Ending. The heartbeat that changed everything the Alliance began in secret. Encrypted quantum channels. Untraceable couriers. Coordinated de-escalations disguised as accidents. A fleet rerouted due to navigation error. A trade sanction quietly reversed. A border incident resolved without public outrage. No one knew. Not the Senate. Not the Nytherian High Council. Just her. And me. We met rarely in person. But when we did, it was never as enemies. Over months, trust formed, not from sentiment, but from results. Casualties dropped. Tensions eased. Markets stabilized. And then the inevitable happened. It wasn't humanity that discovered the back channel. It was her own court. A faction within the Nytherian military, expansionists who believed war was destiny, intercepted a transmission. The accusations spread like wildfire. Treason. Human collaboration. Weakness. The High Council demanded explanation. And I received a message marked Priority Alpha. Come immediately. When I arrived at the throne chamber, it was no longer empty. Dozens of Nytherian nobles filled the hall. Armed. Hostile. Queen Valoria stood before them, not seated. Defiant. The moment I entered, murmurs erupted. She dares bring the human here? This is proof. Execution. Guards surrounded me. I did not resist. If this was the end, so be it. Valoria raised a hand. Silence fell. You accuse me of weakness, she said, voice amplified through the chamber's living architecture. You accuse me of consorting with an enemy. Her silver eyes flashed. You are correct. Shock rippled through the hall. She stepped down from the dais and stood beside me. This human is Cypher. Weapons raised. He infiltrated our empire, she continued calmly. He could have assassinated me, sabotaged our fleets, delivered critical intelligence to his command. She turned toward them fully. He did not. Her voice hardened, because he chose a harder path. She faced the council, as did I. An elder noble stepped forward, bioluminescence flaring red. You risk civil fracture for this creature? She didn't hesitate. Yes. A collective intake of breath. You believe war defines strength, she continued. But survival defines strength. Her gaze swept across them. We stand at the edge of mutual annihilation. This human has given us an alternative. She looked at me, not pleading,
Trusting.
I realized then the power of this moment did not belong to her. It belonged to me. If I spoke poorly, she fell. If I stayed silent, she stood alone. So I stepped forward despite the weapons trained on my chest. My people fear you, I said plainly. And yours fear us. I scanned the chamber. You think she has betrayed you. I met their luminous eyes. She has not. She has done what every great ruler must do at least once. What? Someone demanded. Trusted the impossible. Silence. You call us reckless primates, I continued. Maybe we are, but we are also adaptable. I gestured toward Vealoria. She saw through my disguise in a single heartbeat. Murmurs. She could have executed me. Instead, she listened. I straightened. You can execute me now. You can depose her. And war will follow within months. I let that settle. Or you can do something unprecedented. A tense pause. Speak with us. The chamber trembled, not physically, but politically. Finally, the elder noble lowered his weapon slightly. You offer negotiations? Yes. Openly? Yes. With transparency? Yes. Vealoria's bioluminescence softened from crimson tension to violet calm. The elder studied us both. You risk your own execution by returning here, he said to me. I know. He looked to the queen. You risk your throne. I know. A long silence. Then very well. The word echoed like thunder. We will convene joint talks. Weapons lowered. Not fully, but enough. History pivoted. Months later, the first official Nitharian human summit convened in neutral space. Media across the galaxy broadcast images once thought impossible. A human envoy, a Nitharian monarch, standing side by side. Commentators called it miraculous. Political analysts called it reckless. Extremists on both sides called it betrayal. But trade routes reopened. Military fleets pulled back. Scientific exchanges began. And slowly, the narrative shifted. One evening, after the final session of the first treaty signing, I stood beside Vealoria on the observation deck of her flagship. Stars stretched infinitely before us. You changed the course of two civilizations, I said quietly. She glanced at me. No. Her silver eyes reflected the starlight. We did. A comfortable silence settled. You knew, I said after a moment. Knew what? That I would remove the disguise. She smiled faintly. Yes.
How?
She looked forward. Because your heart changed its rhythm. I laughed softly. You can really hear that? Every time. Her gaze softened. One heartbeat, she said again. That was all it took. I watched the stars drift past the viewport. So what happens now? Now, she said, we build something neither species could alone. And if extremists try again? They will, she said calmly. Peace is not a destination. It is maintenance. I considered that. Then I suppose we keep listening, I said.
2.